I will say this about the not just Dallas, the finals, the playoffs this year. One thing that I think is going to happen is I think you're going to see more people conscious of being a two-way player. I think people have been so focused on offense for the last however many years, and now you start to see teams like Boston who have multiple players who can
defend at
score
a high
and
level.
defend. You have a breakout player like Ant who comes out like, yo, I want to defend the best players. You're starting to see the scoring in general went down from the regular season. There were
A
other
lot.
teams like the Knicks. I think people who were watching the Knicks weren't watching them because they were scoring big buckets. It's just people who thoroughly enjoy defense. You'd love to see OG Anunoby actually get in and guard somebody. Um, so I'm hoping at least that you'll start to see a shift of more people who are wanting to be a little bit more well rounded and not just working on their offensive game and dribbling around cones, but actually getting out and sitting in a defensive stance and wanting to actually guard somebody like that. I'm hoping that's the case because I think I know Jared hated this playoffs, but I saw a ton of things, at least from some of the better teams defensively, that at least were bright spots for me.
I agree with that also. The defense definitely turned up in the playoffs this year. And hopefully, like you said, going into the next year, teams are putting more emphasis on the defenses because you're seeing in the playoffs that defense is starting to beat offense. When it comes down to the playoffs and the finals, like defense is beating offense every time. Granted, the Pacers may be the outliers to make it to the
I was
Eastern
just gonna
Conference
bring them
Finals.
up.
They may
I'm
be the
hoping,
outliers, but even then, like it was still, you know, Indiana's downfall was their lack of commitment on the defensive end.
and I'm hoping that they like because you can't fully abandon like you built your team to run. Like you can't fully abandon that, but you've got to add some defensive principles. There, I don't think that there's, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But anybody who's ever adopted like that D'Antoni style, none of them have ever won like the ship. And if that's
No,
your goal, then like you can't run that and then be like, all right, we're just gonna go down and score in 7 seconds, and we're just gonna outscore you because when the game slows down, that doesn't work. If you run against a team that can rebound with you or rebound better than you, they can slow the game down. Like you've got to get boards to even be able to run.
right.
And I think that was kind of one of the problems they ran into when they ran into Boston, and might have ran into that against New York, but injuries kind of took a little bit of that away from New York side.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. You gotta have a better half court system. Um, because if you're not stopping people on defense, then you're giving them a chance to set up because they're scoring on the offensive end. So you're giving them a chance to set up their offense. So the run and gun doesn't really work that well, in that sense, unless you're getting stops. So you gotta you gotta commit on the defensive end in order to, like you said, keep that run style up or hope they miss shots, which in the playoffs people are way more locked in, as Boston showed. You know, they were the number one seed, best record in the league all season, and people hardly even talked about them. So for them to go through the playoffs the way they did, not losing many games, and um,
They lost three
ultimately
games.
when the huh?
They lost 3 games.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not winning many. I mean, not losing many games. Like
Crazy.
that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, um, again, like we said, did Luca do enough? Again, going back to the Mavericks, like you got to commit on the defensive end. I thought they brought in the right players, as far as the PJ Washington, the Gaffers. You had Lively, like those young guys can be some of your defensive anchors, but you need, like you said, one more perimeter defender to help Luca out, and Luca need to slim down. Um, so he can tap in and be a little more athletic on the defensive side to be able to move his feet more. Like, cool, if you want to, what I mean, take your time bringing the ball up court on the offensive end, that's fine. But defensively, you got to be able to move faster on defense at this stage in the game because scoring 33 only gonna get you so far if you're giving up 33. So
Yeah, this is very true. You can't stand straight up. on the defensive end. I don't know that I remember him like sitting down at any point,
No.
and people are gonna walk around you a lot of times if you just go stand straight up. At some point, you might as well just say, "Hey man, Gafford, just get my back, bro," because he's
Right.
coming for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Um